Here's an like, so the Instagram notes thing, right? Do you guys like? I use it every day because I just find it amusing. And there's another local contractor who uses it every day. And so like I posted, I need something to eat. I'm hungry. I don't know what I posted. I need something to eat. Every day I try to post some unnamed thing. And he posted, I'll bring you a sandwich. And so then today I posted, Puff the Magic Dragon lived by the sea. And he was posted the next line of the song. And because we're the only people that use this fucking notes thing, they ended up beside each other. You know, like it just, anyway. But so out of the blue, someone messaged me from this demolition company I'd never heard of and asked us to remove 20 or 30 loads of soil off a property in North Whitby. I was like, yeah, no problem. I can set it up, and I messaged them. And then after a while, I was like, hey, these people don't know my fucking name because it just says Paver King. And I don't know their name because it says Core Demolition. I'm like, I don't even know who these people are, and I'm going to go remove 30 loads of soil for them. We're talking about bad business ownership. No, like, I'm going to remove this 30 loads of soil for you for 10 grand. I don't even know who you are. Like, and so I text, I said, my name's Mike, and this is my number. And it turns out that the guy I've been going back and forth with owns half of that company, which I was like, so like, you know, being the only person that's using notes right now, like in general, daily, I can't, in my feed, I'm the only person that posts on it every day. I'm like, I met this, I already knew him sort of, like we knew who each other were. He's a pretty big contractor. He's a home renovation contractor in Durham. So, I mean, we knew who each other were, but we didn't have like a connection. I'm like, so interestingly enough, like being the only person that used notes in my area, it made this connection with this person, and now we're going to go do some work for them, you know? And I was like, oh, I guess that's how marketing works, that I don't ever do. Like,
and definitely being first to use something, like whenever something rolls out, being like the first to like adapt that, you're always going to be like shown really high up because other people don't typically adapt something until they actually know how to use it, right? Like I see your notes because you're the only one that's actually posting notes, right?
So like, I don't even know what it's for. Like I don't like know. It's a bizarre thing. Like I don't, because they disappear in 20. I thought they stayed up forever, but in 24 hours they disappear. And I'm like, fuck, I gotta do this every 24 hours now. But it's like a bizarre. The whole thing is like a bizarre. I don't know.
It seemed like something that somebody at Instagram just thought of and just like implemented, because it's something like quick that they can just throw in there and be like, this seems like a good idea, and they just threw it at the wall, see if it sticks.
So I was talking to Christy, our driver, about it, the whole notes thing, and she said, so on her account, her personal account, right, has nothing to do with it. She said it's full of notes that people post.
Yeah, I use it on the personal side, but not through the business, really, because I'm a little more vulgar on the personal side of things, and they're all like bad jokes and stuff like that.
I don't have any personal accounts.
I have one, but it's like a family. It's like I've never. My wife just texted me. Heads up, there's going to be barking dogs. The Voloya order is here. What's that? Like some kind of like shopping thing? Like you VOIL. I'm assuming that's a whatever. What were you doing?
So the dogs are going to bark again?
It's like the worst, most unprofessional.
This is...
What the fuck are we doing here? Like, yeah. Okay. I'm going to go to my personal one. So this account used to be called Goalie Family, but it's been changed to mpen_27 because my kids were like, really? Goalie Family? Like, well, you guys liked this when you were 7 and we made cute videos. Fucking kids. Okay, let's go to...
Hopefully they don't listen to this.
So no one has notes on my personal account. No.
Maybe it's a younger generation thing.
Well, Christy's 36, so I don't. I guess she's
my age.
Younger. Yeah, I'm older than everybody.
Yeah.
I remember I used to be the youngest person, and now I'm like the oldest person ever.
Well, how old is old in our industry? Because someone told me mid-30s is old for a landscaper.
I'm 50. 48.
Yeah.
I'm old.
Landscape grandfather.
I think I'm the oldest landscaper that regularly landscape. Well, I don't really landscape that much though. I thought about that the other day. I was like I mostly drive the truck, and then I take the Veloster on Sundays to useless fucking quotes that I shouldn't be at. Like I don't necessarily.
Well, we talked on that before, right? Like, are you a business owner or are you a landscaper? And what is it? Did we ever air that? Or is
No,
that
that was
like
your
this
question,
is
Mike. Yeah.
yeah.
That was my question. Yeah.
Yeah. You are we still gonna do that, an episode per question, or are we just gonna like throw that out there during
Do we
some
have a name?
episode? We don't have a name. Should we figure this out right here, right now on this podcast
Yeah.
episode?
Yeah.
All right. I made a list. I'll just kick this off since I made a
Glad
list
Mike's
of
prepared.
I'll look back on
names
my notes.
that I liked. And these are the ones that I liked. I had Contractor Confessional, Tailgate Talk Show, Tailgate Therapy, The Contractor Life, but I think we changed that to Contractor Story and made it the tagline. I don't know. And Not My Finest Hour, but the group name is Not Our Finest Hour, which makes more sense. So Not Our Finest Hour. Those are the ones I like the best. Mike, you also said Throw a Shovel, which is I like that too.
I like that one. Nothing stuck like our original ones, which
Yeah, the thing is, it's like it can't be taken. That dumpster fire was perfect.
So it's like, what if you spelled fire differently?
Like
FYRE.
Like the fire festival.
Like
yeah. Like the fire festival. Exactly like the fire festival.
It's pretty much the same thing. The fire festival, like what we've got going on here.
I think one of my greatest accomplishments at Permacon, like not that there was many great accomplishments at Permacon, but one of my biggest accomplishments at Permacon was when I got everyone to post red squares. I don't know if you guys participated in that or remember it.
I don't remember this.
The fire festival had everyone posting orange squares. And so like I had like all the Permacon reps at exactly the same time, all post a red square. And then all these other people, and there was like I don't know, a couple hundred red squares floating around for, like, anyways, I think it was the best thing I did at Permacon. Of all the things I did, probably the best thing. That was it. I like to throw a shovel. I feel like it's, or Not Our Finest Hour. I like those two. Like those things.
I just threw them in the chat if you want to take a look at them visually.
I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, there's a chat function at the bottom. If you go down to the chat.
Like ICQ or something, right?
ICQ?
You're how old are you, Mike?
30, 31?
You don't remember? You didn't have ICQ whenever you were growing up? No?
What's ICQ?
It's before MSN, there was this thing called ICQ, and it did the same thing as MSN.
See, I grew up with MSN, so I don't know ICQ.
Yeah, it was the precursor to that. Like the Napster before LimeWire or something, right? Like that sort of.
But it was still an instant messenger type thing?
Yeah. And like someone would send you a message and then it would go, uh-oh. So you had these little kids like screaming uh-oh at you every time someone would send you a message.
Mike, what was the instant messenger of your day?
Carrier pigeon.
A cup with a string. Bizarrely different growing up.
How did this is what I've always wondered, like whenever I was working for the company that I used to work for, they had those mic phones. Do you remember those?
Yeah, we had those.
So they would like bleep at you and then they would talk, but you could never understand what they were saying to you. I don't know if it was just the guys that I worked with, but it would go bleep and then blah, 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 blah. And then some phone would go flying across the job site. Oh, fuck, he wants me to do this and get 5 loads of this, and I don't have time for that. Like, I don't know how you understood that. How are you mad?
Yeah.
But what came before the mic phones, right? Like,
nothing. So when I
how did you know when you needed to pick up a load of gravel for somebody?
You did like so, like when I first ran my first cruise, I would go like I worked for a fair sized company back then. There was like 40 or 50 guys, commercial company. That's how I started. And I was one of the foremen. So every day we'd all get to the yard at 6:30, and then there was a big room where they had a foreman's meeting, and we all sat down, and they would go through each cruise day and the planning, and then the foreman would leave as they went, as they got their day, and you'd get a clipboard with a piece of paper, and it would tell you everything that you were. There was significantly more planning every day. Every day was more because you couldn't make and it led to stuff like we would work like we were based out of Ajax and we would work in like fucking Hamilton. It's like 2 hours away. So like when I first started, they'd literally be like, here's these addresses, go grade these lots. And I'd be like, okay, I don't know how to do that. They'd be like, well, you better figure it out because you can't call anyone. So we would go and like fuck up the lot grading, but someone would get pissed and then we'd go fix it. Like, and just there, I can remember one time, like I was with this guy and I was like, I'm not responsible for this fucking guy. And the boss was like, you're going to ride with this guy. And I'm like, fuck this guy. He's an idiot because he had taken my dump truck driving job, like my DZ dump truck driving job. So I got in the truck with this guy and I knew where we were going, but he blew the exit. And I didn't say anything. And we ended up in like Niagara Falls. Like that's how far this guy drove looking for this exit because there was no GPS. He didn't have a map book. You're just like looking for this exit. And I've already known you drove by. Like, and I'm not, we ended up in Niagara Falls and then we drove back. Eventually, I think we got pulled into the DOT station down in Niagara Falls and then they forced us to turn around and come back. And eventually we did get to the job site. And when we got there, the boss guy had been sitting there for like 4 hours waiting for us because there was no way to call us. Like there's no phones. There was nothing. It was just a couple of guys driving around in this fucking truck all day. Like it was a bizarre, but my theory is that like as time went on, one of the reasons that like I became like higher and higher up the chain of landscapers, actually this was a whole debate I was going to have with you guys, was because when I was on my own and there was no phones, like I remember like when one of the boss guys got a pager and you would like call him from the payphone and leave your number and he would call the payphone back and you would talk to him. Yo, I'm at the Becker's, bro. I got a half jug of milk that I can return the quarter. I remember that stuff graphically. And as time went on, like one of the problems that we incurred when I was like the general manager at Lake Ridge was as soon as those microphones came, everyone just called me for every decision. Because if you don't make a decision, you don't get in trouble. And so that I just ended up making like every decision for everything that ever happened on the planet. And that's just the way it was. And, I think that it just bred this generation of people who defer to someone else to make a decision. And then anyone who is willing to make decisions for themselves, like you two guys, ends up working for themselves. I had this theory that like what drove you to want to be in charge, whether that's through ownership or running the crew or, because obviously for me, the first thing is fuck. Sorry, I got cut off.
No, we got it. We got what you said there.
Okay. I don't think I'm smarter than a lot of people, but I think I'm smarter than a lot of the people that I worked with. So I figured that I could probably do an okay job on my own that way. So maybe it's a lack of smart people around me that made me want to try my own thing. I don't know, or maybe that's a tough one. I never thought about it.
I just like I don't think I can work for somebody else personally. I like calling the shots. I I like that everything's on my shoulders. Like Mike, I know you're a goalie. Like I grew up a goalie. I like that pressure that like I'm the only one at my position. The game, like there's what, three forwards on the ice at any time, two defensemen. They've always got somebody to back them up. I love that everything is on me. And if something goes wrong or something goes right, whatever it might be, it still comes down to me. And I have worked for somebody in the past, never like actually contracting. Like when I started my own business, that's like the first experience that I actually had of on site besides doing stuff on the side. But I just was always like brainstorming, how can I go off and like work on my own, because I want to be the one calling the shots essentially.
You want to know what drove me forward? This is being totally honest. I was really young, 15 maybe, and started working on the commercial landscaping crew. And I quickly concluded I didn't like when someone else decided when I ate.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? This fucking blows. This other dude is saying like it's lunchtime at 1 o'clock and I'm hungry at 12. And so I'm going to be in charge of the crew. Fuck this. And then within a year, because no one ever wants to be in charge of anything, I was like in charge of crews because I wanted to. And I'm like, my entire life path was set because I'm fat and I like to eat. And I'm like, it's like really, Mike? Like, this is how you ended up being in charge? Like, but that's the truth of the matter is I just didn't like someone else telling me when to eat. And so I was like, how do I get to be in charge of when I eat? And then that led me down the path of entrepreneurship and total chaos. And now, and the flip side of that, now I'm so busy, I don't fucking eat at all. I got to the end of the day and I was like, fuck, I forgot to eat today.
Right.
Like, seriously, just happened to me. Like, I remember like, I'm going to be in charge so I eat when I want. And now I'm in charge so I never eat because I never have fucking time. Like, it's like the total, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah,
Anyway.
it's like that meme. I used to work a 9 to 5, but I wanted to be in charge of what hours I worked, but now I work 24/7 or something like that as a business owner, right?
Yeah, I've seen that one. Yeah. Now it's on a TikTok thing, which then becomes the Instagram thing because it all gets shared. And I don't know, that was something I thought about this week when I was driving around. I was like, why the fuck, why did you guys decide to? And I think it's the same. Like, do you think that either of you are employable by someone else? Are you employable by someone else? Like, could you go work for some? I don't think I am.
Whenever things get really dicey for me in the spring and I'm busy as shit and I can't take a minute to breathe, I always think I'm going to fold in the towel. I'm going to sell everything. And I'm going to go work for somebody. Right. That's sort of my escape, for my mental escape to like get out of this whole shit show. But in reality, am I a good employee? That depends maybe on how much slack my boss would give me to do what I need to do. Could I do a lot of the civil stuff that the guys are doing? I think so, maybe with a little bit of guidance at first. But I'll tell you right now, I'm not doing it for $25 an hour and then call me on Saturday morning because you need me to work, right? So I don't know. Hopefully I never have to find out.
I'm employable, like, because I'll always have that work ethic, but I know that whenever I'm working for someone else, my mind is like partially on the job at hand and then partially on my own thing. I actually, so I worked in an office for a little bit, and this was like at the time when I was starting to learn about this whole online space and things like that and starting your own websites and stuff like that. And when I worked in that office, what I would do is I would just be working on my own thing and I would be starting my like own whatever websites, businesses, and I'd be learning on company time. And hopefully they're not listening to this while I'm saying this, but that's like essentially what I would do. So am I a good employee? No. Am I employable? I think I've got that work ethic that I could be employable, but I don't want to be employed by somebody else, essentially. I thought Chad was frozen too. I thought this was me that was frozen.
No, I'm thinking. I don't know. I forget what I was going to say.
I do have a good. My question was actually
I
so
don't
when
understand, like,
Mike, you there?
I'm here.
Okay. My question kind of falls in with that, like when we were thinking about our own questions that we're going to ask or whatever. But like my question falls in line really well with this. If you kind of weren't or if you weren't a hardscaper, a landscaper, whatever you consider yourself right now, what would you be doing? Like, what would be your other business, or what would you be doing in life other than what you're doing right now?
Civil contracting, easy answer for me.
Okay, not contracting at all, like anything like that. Yeah.
What other options are there? I can't do anything with computers. I'm useless when it comes to computers. Art. I do something with art. I don't even know what I do with art. I build things out of pavers. I don't know. Welfare is a good choice if you're Canadian. Seems a lot of people are going that route. Unemployed, welfare. Yeah.
Said I could have ended up working on a farm. Can you hear
I
me?
like that.
Oh my god. I think I could have ended up on a farm easily. Like I like the whole machinery and stuff. And like it seemed like something that would be. I feel like I would be doing something. Things I can tell you I would never do is work. I worked one night in a factory, like literally one night. I was like, yeah, this fucking sucks. I'll never be back here. I would not work for a large corporation being a salesperson for more than 18 months. I can also like really nail that down that wouldn't happen. I don't know. I kind of like the idea of farming. It's sort of romantic. I'm sure it sucks like in about 5,000 different ways, but I think there's like something romantic about growing food and harvesting it and using 30% less fertilizer doing it. Yeah.
Mike, you're going to be a cricket farmer.
Yeah. So maybe I'd be a farmer. I might be a farmer or a farmhand, or as long as it was side. I wouldn't ride horses. Like fuck that. I don't like horses. Like I wouldn't ride them. Where would you end up, Mike?
Yeah, I probably should have thought of that before I asked the question. Yeah. Something creative in some sense. Like Chad, was it you who I interviewed that said that you cut hair during university to pay for your university?
I did. So I took hairstyling after university because I thought that's what I wanted to do, because like I'm pretty heavily tattooed and stuff, and I didn't think you could have a career in anything but like tattoos or hair cutting or something if you look the way I do. Apparently I'm wrong, and I'm doing okay. But yeah, so I was a hairstylist for a bit. That was okay, but I always missed working outside. So
yeah.
Also, the money is better working outside. It's more gratifying, I think.
I was gonna say, like, can you cut my hair? Could that be an episode? Like, can you shave some lines in my head or something?
I could do it all. I could do it all. It was actually good. Like, it was pretty good, but I just didn't stick with it. Like, my talents are better suited to project management and tree planning and interlock brick and whatever, I think, anyway. But no, it's I don't know. I don't know if I'd go back to it ever without being forced into it.
Yeah, it's always interesting to kind of hear what other people's interests are, at least. And I think like that seems to be a question that I'm asking more and more to other people. Like if you weren't doing, if you didn't start this, it kind of leans into Mike's question. Like, are you a hardscaper or are you a business owner? Because I think if you are a business owner, it's really easy for you to answer something else that you would be starting, like as a business owner. But if you're a hardscaper, if you're a landscaper, it's really difficult to be able to like say, oh, I would do this. Whereas a business owner would say like, oh, I would have done this and started this business, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I still, I think I'm a landscaper first and foremost. Like I'm still out there slinging brick and shoveling and planting and all this shit, mulching, sodding, watering, hydroseeding, whatever the fuck it is. Like I'm still forcefully doing all this stuff on a daily basis and not pointing my finger so much yet. So happy to be a landscaper.
This year's been a big change. Like I haven't done nearly as much physical work as I have in the previous 3 years because I've been driving the bin truck. And you can't hear anything I'm saying. So
no, I can hear you. We can hear you.
I can hear you a bit. Like, is
okay,
it?
So,
can we use this though? Like, can you?
This is usable. I can hear you.
Oh fuck.
okay.
Maybe it's me. That's all.
Yeah. Oh, who cares if you can't hear it? Doesn't matter.
Yeah. It really doesn't.
Shit, whether or not you can. As long as Mike can hear, we're all good. We've got a show.
That's
We've got
it.
a fucking show. Mike can
Yeah.
I get just like I don't. Yeah, it's a. I haven't done as much, and I don't know if I'm actually in more pain because I'm not moving as much. I've thought about trying to get. Like, last year, I was pretty physically active on the job site every day, and this year I'm driving this truck. And I'm like, is this the best route for my longevity? Because I think that all of this stuff has a. That was another question I had this week. I was like, how many years do you think you've shaved off your life by being a hardscaper?
I go back and forth on that because, like, kind of what you're saying there. If I wasn't hardscaping, like, I'm not the type of person that goes to the gym. Personally, I don't know about you guys, but like, this is my physical exercise. Essentially, I haven't played hockey in actually a couple of years now, just because I've been so busy. But like, I'm not the type to go to the gym, and this is kind of like the only thing that I have for physical exercise. Otherwise, I'd be a lazy piece of shit. Otherwise, so I mean, has it shaved a bit off my life with the silica dust and everything? Probably, yeah. We'll find out in the future. But in terms of like something that I'm actually getting outside and I'm doing physical work, that's like, as long as my ergonomics, as long as my form is good, it's probably better for me.
I like up until a couple months ago, I was gym every morning before work. There's just something about this last couple months that really has been harder on me. But I always used to go to like wake up my brain and get that extra 1 hour head start on all my worker brains, so I can think for them a little bit right off the hop. But what's the phrase? It's not the amount of years in your life; it's the life in your years. And I wake up every day happy to do what I do, right? So,
Chad, you would wake up an hour early to work out?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's like 4 o'clock in the morning, be at the gym for 5 or whatever. And then by 6 o'clock, your brain's turned on and running and you're able to get the guys going. Before having a kid, that was no problem. Even the last couple of years, but I don't know, maybe I'm just getting older and it's harder to get up at 4 in the morning and do all this stuff. The business is changing a lot too, right? So I can blame some of it on that and some of it on maybe getting older and a little more lazy. But yeah, the gym used to be a big part. Like in the winter, it still is, right? Like I spend a couple hours there just for fun. I figure if I sit, I rot. So it's nice to get out there and do something.
coming from a time before anyone acknowledged there was a silica dust problem, like we were talking about not having phones, we also didn't have masks or anyone telling us that there was anything
Right.
wrong with. So like I'm fairly certain how much we'll find out. I guess like I've breathed in countless. Like they're like, oh, if you cut through one 4x8 paper, you release too much dust in the air. Like, good God.
Holy shit.
I just, so I don't,
Oh.
yeah, I'm like, I'm in bed. Oh my God. Fuck, I'm so pissed with it. It's like I sit here and listen to you guys, nothing's happened. As soon as I talk, the whole thing crashes. Anyways,
we heard you the
yeah,
whole time there.
did you? Yeah, like
Yeah.
for me, I guarantee, or like the same as like no one wore suntan lotion or gave a shit about skin cancer for the first 25 fucking years. Like it just, I mean, we used to ride to work in the bucket of the fucking payloader. They'd be like, get in the loader bucket, we're heading to the site. Like, could we bounce out of that and die? Like, yeah, hang on. Like, it's a bucket. What would you like me to hang on to, bro? Like, I remember like 10 of us riding in the back of the dump truck, we'd all climb into the tandem and 10 of us would ride to Brampton. You'd hope there wasn't mulch in it the day before, so it wasn't like whipping around. Like, I'm certain, but on the flip side of that, I wouldn't want to work in a factory because I feel like that would have, like with my personality, I would maybe have died anyways sooner, and I wouldn't have enjoyed myself, So, like,
I don't think there's any workspace that isn't without its like hazards, and not to be like an office person has it really bad by sitting at a desk, but like most people that aren't physically active working in an office are packing on the pounds and staring at a screen all day, and I wouldn't have my life like that. I know that for sure.
Yeah, I'd rather suck brick dust than sit at an office, I think. Sit in an office chair.
I watched this video of you, Mike, this stop motion video on your I Am a Hardscaper YouTube channel, building this side walkway up someone's house. And I can confidently tell you there's no fucking way I would have taken that job. Like, balls to you for taking that. It's the one with like the 8 steps.
Yeah.
It's all dug by hand, wheelbarrowed by hand into like a well, you didn't call me for your bins, so fuck you. But like,
would you deliver to Kitchener?
Like, no. Well, I don't know. If you wanted to pay $1,000 a bin, yeah. So I just watched that video and I watched the whole. I was like, man, this was like ridiculously hard work to build this walkway. I was like, if someone called me for this, like, balls to Mike, because I would have said, yeah, I'm good. Have a nice life. Call someone else. Like, that was like a ridiculously hard thing to build, bro. Like, I just.
The price was right.
Good, because it should have been.
I get nothing. Maybe we should call it for tonight.
I think so. And, we should at least, like, are we gonna pick a name right now, or
do you want to pick a name?
If Mike comes back, we should probably squeeze in picking a name.
Is he back?
Mike?
I'm back. Yeah. All
right.
Did we pick before we get did we pick a name for this?
We're literally just saying that while you're reconnecting there.
Oh, I like Throw a Shovel.
Mike's got to vote for Throw a Shovel. How should we do this? Should we just like each pick a name? Should we rank them 1 to 5 and like pick the one that's kind of like the highest, or what?
I like Not Our Finest Hour or Throw a Shovel.
Yeah, like I think well, those are like,
I like Tailgate Talk Show too. I don't know.
Yeah, these are like my top 5 anyways. Like, yeah. should we each rank these 1 to 5 and then choose the one with the lowest ranking, being like that's like closest to number 1?
Holy shit.
I feel like we're overcomplicating this.
Yeah, we probably are.
Why don't you put it out on I'm a Hardscaper? See what they like best. Does it
Well,
matter?
should we each all do that?
Yeah.
But then we're like announcing like this is a podcast.
I don't know.
Well, yeah, but we've done 4 of them. Shouldn't they know that something's coming?
So I like these two, Not Our Finest Hour and Throw a Shovel, because it just, and then A Contractor's Story. I just think that I feel like these other ones, in my opinion, are just, I don't know.
Yeah. It's
They're just not funny. I don't know. I guess it's just my life. Everything has to be funny for me. It doesn't matter what it is.
Throw a shovel and Not Our Finest Hour are probably my top 2 picks.
yeah, I like those too. So, what do you want to do with it?
I kind of like that Throw a Shovel thing because it plays off that whole like throw a shovel, be a man. It should say throw a shovel, be a contractor. I don't know. I like that. I like that Not Our Finest Hour either because it like I like to preface everything with it might be totally shitty, and if you don't like it, whatever.
Yeah.
And I like Not Our Finest Hour because it's sort of like, I'm assuming the episodes are what, 30, 40, 50 minutes, an hour ish?
An hour plus.
You know, Not Our Finest Hour. We're all talking shit for an hour, you
That's
know?
true.
Yeah.
Not Our Finest Hour, A Contractor Story. But I don't, like, whatever you guys are good with, I'm good with too. I'm easy.
I would rather use Not Our Finest Hour. I feel like it has more broader appeal.
Yeah.
Now that Chad kind of brings that up, like that hour plays into a lot of different things. Like like Chad said, like literally our podcast episodes are going to be about an hour, give or take. And then plus like it plays into a lot of our lives that we can like bring into the podcast, like on site, not my finest hour. So
yeah, I love it. Now
we should do once a week. What was not your finest hour this week?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. That's good things to draw from, right? That's
Are you guys good with Not Our Finest Hour?
Yeah, I think that's good.
Yeah, that's good.